You know, when you don't want to bicker about the price on a sticker,
You head on down to Schicker.
Where you get the best deals quicker.
You got it.
Schicker
JJ.
Ford
Hit
of
it.
St. Louis.
All right, welcome back. Another edition of Federal Friday. It's a good one this week. We got a good one. We are joined today, of course, by my two normal co-hosts, Joe Cronin to my right, Jack Riley to the far left. That would be your guys' right. And in the middle right here is Andrew Chambers. And
Hello,
Andrew,
everybody.
And yes, and Andrew, thank you for coming by.
No problem.
And Andrew, who many people might know, is one of the secret weapons of the DEA over the years, and has been classified as the highest paid informant in DEA history. And Jack, would you say that is true?
I would say maybe in the federal government, he's that good.
He was good. And but before we get to Andrew, I want to let you guys know what's going on with our show. Obviously, this comes out on Monday morning. This Thursday, on our live show, we will be having Nathan Speece with us. And for those that don't know, Nathan lost his lower leg in a accident where he was chasing a carjacker, and unfortunately, he lost the lower part of his leg. He's fighting back to become a policeman again. He wants to become a policeman again. So he's going to be on live with us. So join us live, and you can call in with chime in with your comments and questions for Nathan. But that'll be a special show. We're really looking forward to that. Jack, how do we want to start this? Why don't you start out with asking Andrew his first question, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'll tell you, to open up, this guy to my right is one of the bravest guys I've ever met in my entire career. He's done more to help narcotic enforcement in the U.S. and really around the world than virtually anybody I know. So it's an honor for me to be sitting here. That's how much I think of him. And Andrew, why don't you tell us how you first got started, because it starts right here in St. Louis.
Yeah, it started right here in St. Louis, and I was real interested in criminal justice. So my thing was try to figure out how to be into law enforcement, but not to be really wearing a uniform, more like undercover.
That's how everybody wants to start.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to go right into.
Yeah,
They want to skip the 5 years in uniform.
Yeah, I don't want to do no radar guns and trying to give by tickets, traffic tickets. So that was really my big interest in trying to do.
Andrew, you got to do me a favor. I think the greatest part of the story, and Andrew's career has touched all of our careers over the last 25 years. In when we were younger, didn't hear from him for months, years. In later on, calls from Jack, calls from Michelle. But what I love about your story is that frosty first day that you walk into 7911 Forsyth. You got to tell the story. It's fantastic.
Well, it was pretty good. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't good because it was that I went in there when I decided to go there. It was like I thought it was going to be real easy, and then it became real complicated because you had to have a 4-year degree, and I didn't have a 4-year degree. So right there kind of like threw me under the bus, you know, and their thing was...
So out of your own initiative to follow your own dreams, you decided to just walk right into the DEA.
Yeah, walk right in there and try to get to somebody who can give me some good news. And unfortunately, I did get good news because 2 individuals came out and they're like, what do you want? Well, you know, and when you go to DEA, it's not what you want, it's what you done. So once they spoke to me and kind of gave me the information I needed, it was like, I can't do this. You know, it's no way I can do this because I don't have time to be trying to get a 4-year degree.
Andrew, as legend would have it, and many talked about you on that fateful first day, they talked about what you were wearing. And I don't know if you remember, I don't know if this is accurate, but it's wonderful. It's an LA hat, gold chain, shorts on a cold, blustery day, and a huge Blues jersey.
Well, it was a little bit different than that. It was like I had pink pants on. I had pink pants on. That was kind of like the style then. And I had one of them St. Louis long gangster hats on like that. And I think that's what kind of threw them off because they said, this guy don't look like he's trying to get no education. It looked like he's got some shit going on.
You're good.
Yeah.
So keep going once you make it past the front door. What happens?
So, when I make it past, then, they get me in a room and ask me a lot of questions. And, and they said, well, there's some other things you can do. And I said, well, other things like what? They said, you become a CI. So now I'm thinking about,
That's
real
cooperating individual.
Yeah, well, it turned out to be called cool individual with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was like, what is a CI? And then they told me. And then I said, well, I don't think I can do this job because I really don't know nobody that's in that arena. I didn't know no drug dealers. I didn't know nobody that was selling drugs or doing anything. Because my background was, I'm Catholic, and I went to a Catholic high school, grade school, so I didn't know nobody was doing anything. So,
but you were dressed the part, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was.
The outfit you had on maybe had them thinking, hey, this guy might be a good informant.
It had them thinking, but it wasn't doing no good because I didn't know nobody.
Right.
So at that time they said, okay, well, thank you for being interested in the DEA, and we can't do nothing for you, and I'm pretty sure you can't do nothing for us. So I said, okay, well, thank you, and you guys have a nice day, and I left.
So Andrew, who was the first person that took a liking to you in those rooms? Do you remember?
Michele Leonhart,
And what did she become?
she became the administrator of DEA.
That's some pretty heavy steam back in the day.
Yeah, for at that time,
It lasted for a long time.
a long time.
What year are we
met-
talking there?
84.
84 you went in there? That's when you went in the office?
I went in 84.
Okay.
So how does it go after that when you walk out? You've met Michele, who becomes a juggernaut in DEA, becomes the administrator, rises her way up through the ranks, does some great things for the agency. So what happens after you leave?
Well, after I leave, before I leave, they say, well, I kind of asked them, well, what do I need to know? And then they told me, well, you need to know somebody that's selling drugs or have drugs. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of shook it off and said, okay, thanks, and I left. So when I leave, I end up meeting a person that I knew, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. I was just trying to figure out what was going on with him now. He says, I'm doing this new thing. I'm like, doing what new thing? He said, I got Coke. And I said, Coke? Like, at first I thought he was talking about the soda. But then he said, no, man, I got this guy that I buy Coke from. And I said, what? I said, you think you can hook me up? He said, yeah, I can hook you up, no problem. So that was my start.
So you knew nothing about this. You knew nothing about the drug game.
Oh, nothing. Completely.
Not a little bit. Not even a tiny bit. Not even an ounce.
A zero.
The interesting thing is in '84 is when Coke really started spreading across the country. So you were, if you think about it, Andrew, you were on a ground floor of when this whole problem began, and specifically here in St. Louis, but across the country. So you fought it from the beginning.
I think I was on the basement floor because I didn't know nobody.
You didn't even know Coke at the time.
No, at all. So
I'm with you.
So what happened was when he told me, I said, "Oh my God!" So I end up going right back to DEA the same day.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I told him,
And this time he just walks right by the guards.
Yeah.
I'm owning this place.
So it's just crazy. So now they're like, what is wrong with this guy? Because he just left and said he didn't know. Now all of a sudden he comes right back and he says he does. So, and I explained to them and they said, wow. They said, that's amazing. So I said, yeah. They said, well, can you get the information from him? And at that time, it wasn't really about telephones. It was more about like license plates. So can you get his license plate and tell us where he lived? And do you know his real name and everything? I'm like, well, I can get some of that, but that real name I might not know his real name, but I can get you half of that. So I end up getting them the information, and they found out, and they said, hey, this is good. Let's start. So that was my kind of like my first start. And, when I go back to what they call my 103s, I had a payment, I think, for like $50.
That was your first payment was 50?
Yeah, $50. I like $50. And you talk to me now, $50 is an insult.
But back, you're talking 1984.
Yeah.
One
That
day.
was good. Yeah.
Hey, that's what I was making as an agent in 1984, $50.
But then you get done with that deal, and then I'm sure that you then, how does it evolve? How do you get better at it? What starts happening that you really entrench yourself into this? I would call it a profession at this point.
Well, I started feeling a little comfortable, but nervous at the same time because, to say you're not nervous, then you're just really fooling yourself, So I was nervous, and then I just started making my awareness of people a little bit more about what they're doing and putting myself in situations where maybe somebody can talk to me or ask me a question. There's something about drugs, and then I know how to move on from that, and I know how to navigate to where I got to go on that style right there.
So at the very early times when you started working with DEA, they gave you a lot of latitude to develop this on your own. So you were out there in the mean streets for a little bit by yourself. Is that correct?
Oh yes, you're by yourself. They're not teaching you nothing. They're not, saying come to the office at 8 o'clock and then we're going to show you what you should do or whatever. They're not. I'm not waiting for them to call me. They're waiting for me to call them.
Okay.
But I think that's such an important part, Joe, because that's how he developed the skills.
Right.
And that just shows how resourceful he is. And this, more importantly than anything else, was really what made him different, because years later, I would call him and say, hey, we got a problem in a particular part of the Chicago division. And we'd fly him in and he'd go to work. And much of it was collecting intelligence information that we had no way to get. And in the early days, when you couldn't dump a phone or your surveillance was difficult in some parts of the city, you had to have guys you could rely on. And that's what he brought to us and still does.
Well, what happens is the reliance is in yourself. You have to know what kind of situation to put yourself into, because what happens is there's no how you say it, Jack? There's no surveillance. Nobody's watching you.
Yeah.
Right.
They're waiting for a phone call.
You were a lone wolf.
Yeah, I'm by myself.
You're relying on yourself.
Yeah, and I'm doing myself the way I know how to do it to keep myself safe.
Yeah, developing your own tradecraft, just like a spy.
Exactly.
Now, some people would say that, we call you guys confidential informants.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call snitches, whatever you want to call them.
Correct.
But you took it as a profession at one point in time. You're saying this is what I'm going to do. At what point did you say that this is what I'm going to do, and I can make a lot of money at this?
Well, what happens is that the people in '84, the people that I came up were really people that was going places, and they knew that they had a diamond. So the thing about it was to keep the diamond in good condition so I could help them do what they needed to do.
Right.
So what happens is that a lot of times that you have, this name, CI, informants, snitches, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't sound good, but at the end of the day, it works. So I put myself in a position that the agents had trust in me. If you say be there at 8, I'm there at 7:30. You're not looking for me. So that's one of the biggest things I think that a CI has to do. You have to be where you're supposed to be at the right time.
Yeah, and
even that they're late.
You know what's funny? You go back and you talk about a lot of those agents in that room. One administrator, one chief of ops, 3 SACs, and then another administrator down the road. You weren't in the first group, but you were introduced to him. That's some powerful steam. And you're right. By keeping them happy, they kept you to work, and you got exposed to the inner workings of DEA. How long were you in St. Louis till the heat got turned up a little bit?
I don't know, probably maybe a year, maybe 2.
Okay, so
two tops.
that quick.
Yeah.
And you were working regularly.
Yeah,
Right.
I took the job serious, not like, you do it 2 months here, nobody don't hear from you for 6 months. No, I took the job like every day, all day. You
Right,
know,
you woke up thinking, what can I do today?
what can I do? What can I get into? And you know the saying, the how they say it, the early bird catch the early worm. So my thing is to get up and just I might go. For example, I'll use St. Louis. I might go down Page 200 times. Go up once, go back. Up once, back. Just looking, waiting. Somebody is gonna come along. So you have to actually be out there because you have to understand nobody knows you. I'm not into that clique. So if you're not into the clique, then you don't know. So you just got to be out there on the hunt.
And you would dress the part?
Oh,
And
yeah.
the nightclubs, I'm sure nightclubs were
Yep,
big.
just
Was that a
the
big
part.
place
Yep,
to go?
Yep. And one thing about this job here, white dudes go to the car wash every 6 months. The car is dirty as hell. A black guy will go to the car wash every day. He don't care if it rains that day. If it's a dry time for even 2 hours, he's gonna go get that car wash again. And you gotta know where to post yourself up at.
And you use the car wash, so you just did all the typical things that you would think that dope men are familiar with.
Exactly.
Nightclubs, car washes. You knew like you said, Page.
Have money. You gotta have money. You gotta tip people good. You gotta tip people just for the hell of it. And they didn't do shit, but you still gotta tip them.
And then that would just give them the persona that this guy makes money and he doesn't work because
Right.
you're out on the street every day, so they're not thinking you have a for real job.
Exactly. I mean the whole. I do the whole gamut. I get manicures, pedicures. I look the part.
Right.
I don't look like I'm doing no hard work, and I'm
Similar to what Joe does.
Oh yeah.
But it's great. I mean, it's fun, but at the same time, you have to be with the right agent. You have to be with the right agent that's about not just about the job because he knows his job, but you got to be willing to take that little chance to go the extra 9 yards. And that's when a lot of times when you have agents, they in a boundary already, but they don't want to go the extra yard. Well, that extra yard is what you're going to need to make it work.
Yeah, I think it's, and this is kind of an old school thing from when I came up, but we always looked at Andrew as part of our team. And it was never, I never thought about it, and I know a ton of guys that work with you never thought it that way. And we knew we were risk takers, and we knew he was. And sometimes you gotta stick your hand out when you're in a helicopter and the wind blows your back.
Right.
But you gotta do it. Mm-hmm. But don't think for 1 minute that we weren't trying to figure out how we're going to keep this guy safe.
Yeah, and I think as part of the team, one of the things that I remember about Andrew early in the days is he knew a lot about the DEA process, which makes you a better in your own position, right?
Right.
He knew about the paperwork. He knew what we had to fill out, what we had to write. He knew the parameters of the law, which made him better at his own trade craft. And there were many a times, and there was a gentleman in here today that they used to do teletypes back in the day. Gosh. Teletypes back in the day to pay somebody from LA or whatever, and Andrew showed up in St. Louis, and Tommy B and I had to pay him, and we didn't know how to do it. I was brand new, and Andrew's like, well, you got to fill this form out. And he was the nicest gentleman on the planet, and he wasn't rude, he wasn't mean about it, he wasn't arrogant. And he goes, no, this is how we do it. And I'm like, okay, we did it and got it done. I thought that made him better at his own job.
And you can say Bo. It was Bo and myself and Bo worked the case with Andrew. And how these things would work, though, and Andrew mentioned it, and we've mentioned it several times, is that Andrew maintained relationships with high-ranking DEA officers, but he started at the ground floor with them. But he did such a good job that these guys remained, loyal to him. He remained loyal to them, and as they moved up, group supervisors and SACs and ASACs, they don't run cases.
Right.
It's the agents on the ground that run the cases.
Yeah.
However, when you got introduced to Andrew, it wasn't the case agent that introduced you to him. It was a supervisor of some sort, and said, it's a different relationship that you have with normal CIs, but it was one that came from trust, because if this guy's telling us, this very successful DEA is telling us that this guy's right, you just did what he said. Because usually when you're working with the CI, you want to confirm everything.
Right.
You have to
Exactly.
go out and make sure that what he's telling you is true or whatever. With him, you just knew, all right, he's good.
Well, that's the whole thing of successful track record. You know, look what he's accomplished. Just like you'd look at an agent or a policeman. Hey, what did this guy do before he came to my unit? Like, was he good or was he bad? You know, an interesting question I want to ask you, Andrew. I always wanted to ask you. So in the early days, because it used to drive me crazy as a supervisor and a SAC and administrator, and I always tried cutting through it, but we virtually had no operational plans, did we?
No.
We just kind of got together and said, all right, you go in the front door, I'll go in the back. Don't shoot me. I'll make sure he's okay.
Right.
Now it's to the point where you almost got to write like a 30-page thing and get it approved by 50 people. But in those days, to me, that's what made it exciting. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, from my side of the picture, it was just totally excited, and it's kind of like what you guys hit on. You know, you have these supervisors or you have agents that really are in the process. They're learning as I'm learning. You know, and you got to have a safety zone. And anybody would tell you, as far as my case is concerned, they're all about safety. Safety has to be the primary situation. So when you do that ops plan at the office, well, by the time you hit the street, that plan didn't kind of like switch. You know,
Absolutely.
That's
so
just like a guideline.
yeah. So what happens is that even that, you know, a lot of guys, especially the guys that I have came up with and the guys that know me, if I make a phone call and say, hey, look here, man, this is dead. We need to
Kill it.
dead. Yeah. So they're into it. Not them saying to me, well, look here.
Push again.
Yeah, you're the CIA. You're going to do what we tell you to do.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
Well, you probably had some jerk off agents
you
that
got
tried to
them.
beat your ass.
I mean, you
Was
got
Bo
them.
one of them?
Yeah. Huh?
Was Bo one of them?
Well, no, I can't talk about it now. Right? We're on TV now. I can't talk about it.
Andrew, I gotta press on because
Okay.
there's one thing that I really love about your career. When you're in St. Louis here, it's like the testing grounds. You know, it's the proving grounds. Everybody's taking a look at you, and you're working for them. Everyone's learning, and you get heated up here pretty good. And then, dude, you go to L.A. and it explodes for you in L.A. So I want to hear about L.A.
I want to interrupt that one. I want to play a little clip for you.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
this
right
is
before
great.
we do
Yes.
this. This
Okay.
is Freeway Ricky Ross.
Okay.
And he's talking about, he's on Vlad TV. And
Yeah.
he's talking about you.
And we
this
talked
is-
about the guy on
Right,
your
here
show,
we
and the
go.
guy called me one
This
day.
is what he had to say
Which
about
guy?
you. So listen up. We'll
The
talk about it
informant.
afterwards.
Which
The
informant?
super informant. You know, me telling you about this. It's a super informant out. This guy is like the biggest. He was like DEA's number 2 weapon and number 3 weapon in the war on drugs. A guy by the name of Andrew Chambers from St. Louis.
Okay.
I told you about him before, and he called me after I did your show.
Okay. So, and how? What's your relation to Andrew Chambers? He told on you?
No, he tried to get me out. He missed me. It's crazy because he got a few of my friends. Hootie Fuller out of Long Beach.
Okay.
Snoop's wife's brother.
Oh, okay.
Got Chubb from Grape Street. Chauncey. I mean, he cleaned LA up. He had like 20 guys, knocked them off.
Hemmed them all up.
Yeah, got them
Told
all.
on everybody.
Everybody.
And he called you.
From your show. He saw your show.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Not through me, by the way. I don't know. I don't know what this guy is. Like, let me just put that out there.
that's just to reach your show.
Right. Okay. So he reached out, like
So
DM'd you
I'm
or something?
riding down the street one day, right, and I get a private call. I take all my calls,
Yeah.
you know, because somebody owed me $10 million, and I'm waiting on them to call me. So I get this private call, and I was like, "Hello," and he was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing much. Who is this?" He was like, "This the informant." I was like, "The informant?" He said, "Yeah, the informant, the one you was talking about."
Okay.
And I was like, "Andrew Chambers?" He was like, "Yeah, this is Andrew Chambers." He was like, "Man, I want to do some speaking engagements with you."
What's he gonna say?
I said, listen, man. Some of my partners want to kill you." Oh, but it was crazy. It was a crazy conversation. Yeah, you don't have to be in witness protection no more.
That's that.
Has Andrew ever spoke to him? Have you ever spoken to Rick? Is that Rick Ross?
Yeah, that's Rick Ross. He's correct on some things, but he's definitely correct on other things. One thing he's not correct on. I am the number one guy.
Number one, not two or three.
Yeah, and number two,
one weapon.
and number two, if I was gonna get him, I wouldn't have missed him.
I like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have missed him.
But you did get a lot of his friends. Talk about that.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
about what happened in L.A. Well, like Joe asked. When you went to L.A., what happened?
You know, I go to L.A. and L.A. is new to me. It's like wide open. You know, it's like the old Western days. It's just wide open to anything. And I didn't know nobody. You know, and it was when I first got there, it was kind of complicated because I didn't know nobody and didn't know where you was going to stay. Didn't know how you meet people, and just moving around, just trying to figure out the city because I didn't know the city. And then as I stayed there, I got to learn the city, got to go in places, got to hanging out, going to the clubs, got to meeting people. And then it's kind of like once I got started on the first one, then it was just like, because see, the good thing about LA was that you could be on one side of town and nobody never see you on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Nobody would never know about what happened to Billy Bob because Billy Bob never been on the other side of town. So I kept it real simple, and the people I was knocking off, they were good violators, you know, and I was just knocking them off as I go.
Would you do them one at a time, or would you do them as a group?
It just depends. You know, a lot depends on that great DEA office.
How the
you know,
agents are
because you know
running it?
sometimes you might have I don't know, Jack. You might have 12 guys in a group.
Yeah.
So the way my operation went, all 12 of them guys would have a case by me.
So when you went to L.A., did you go there specifically for DEA?
Yes.
So you started receiving, I would say, the daily expenditures. You know, like you said, you had to go get a house. Is that something that is normal? I'll ask Jack.
Yeah,
Is that something
absolutely.
that's normal?
That, operational money, and I mean, there's two kinds of money. There's operational money, and then there's purchase of evidence
Okay.
money. And you can't expect a guy like Andrew to come to a new city and not get rolling without helping. And so
So when they
that's
when they
what we
send
did.
somebody like Andrew to L.A., is that talked about above everybody?
No. Well, let me explain it to you.
Okay,
now. So
go ahead.
Because God get
you
it
probably
right.
know more than Jack.
Well, what happens is that
He does.
when you go to these places, especially the only person I knew was the SAC,
Which
at that
helped.
time. Yeah, and that helped. But at that time, he wasn't writing the check for anything because there was nothing going on. There wasn't no targets. It wasn't like he snatched me from St. Louis and say, "Hey, we're gonna bring you to L.A. and we're gonna make this happen." So he was kind of like on the sideline. He was just the guy that I knew, and the agents knew that I knew him. Okay, so now it's the same thing. I'm back to square one where you got to prove yourself.
Yep.
On my dime. Okay, so my dime is short. Okay, so but I'm making it work.
Right.
So now I'm meeting people. So now it gets to the point where they say, okay, well, look here.
We open a case and away we go.
Yeah, here we go. Let's do this, and we'll start from there, and then that's how we'll go.
So when you go to LA, your paydays actually, that's when the paydays start to come. In St. Louis, you're making a little bit of money, not a terrible amount of money,
No.
but in LA, it really blows up.
Well, yeah, because the thing about it is that when you go to L.A., well, when you say in St. Louis, so you just say, we'll just say 9 ounces of Coke. That's amazing. Where 9 ounces of Coke in L.A. is an insult.
Right. Yeah, it's a whole new world.
Yeah, they don't want that. You know, the federal people don't want that, and you can play with the state on something like that. But as far as federal is that, no, we got to up the ante.
Well, I have one more question about LA. Just so when you do the same, we don't want to get into a lot of the tradecraft, but when you're doing it, you said you knew nobody, so you're doing the same thing. You're going to get your nails done. You can't go to the car wash there now because there are no car washes. That's what I heard on the news yesterday.
Yeah. I
No
mean,
more car washes in LA.
Right.
But you're going to the car wash. You're going to the clubs. You're starting to meet people. You're flashing a little money. You're doing all this. The same tradecraft in LA.
The same trade, because everybody is looking for that guy.
Now,
Yep.
is it gangs? You mentioned that one half, they wouldn't know you on the other half. Is that because of the gangs? Were the gangs in control of the drug trade then?
Well, at that
Bloods and
time,
Crips?
the Bloods and Crips, they were controlling it. So, it's kind of one of them things. Wherever I go, I always had a set of clothes so I could switch out.
Okay.
Because I already knew
Wow.
what areas I was going to be in. So, and me not
scary
knowing
deal.
me not knowing nobody, I have to, common sense is common sense. So why would I have on some red in a blue neighborhood?
Okay.
So, I switch
Even
out.
if it's just a hat,
I wouldn't have. What I do is try to have on whatever set I'm on. I would have blue, or I have a neutral color. A neutral color would be gray, black, or something like that, just to get you by. And then when you get ready to go into the red neighborhood, then you have a red cap on or something like that. Even your car at that time in LA. Your car had to be neutral because you couldn't ride a red car in a blue neighborhood. Oh, they'll tear that up.
This is about 1990, 91.
No, this is like 84, about 87,
Okay.
88, 89, yeah, like that.
Okay.
I mean, because at that time, dope was like, in LA, was like,
Falling out of the trees.
yeah, and plus it wasn't just dope, it was PCP, heroin, it was, them were the major
So
things.
not just cocaine.
Yeah, no,
just
not
all
just
kinds of
cocaine.
stuff.
Yeah,
Now,
all
weed,
kinds
did you ever mess with weed?
No, we wasn't really,
Didn't get the time that the agents weren't real.
No, I mean the weed thing was, DEA thing. If it's not in a truck, a semi truck, then you keep on selling it. They're
right.
not. They're
The
not
one, thing,
worried
the
about
one
that.
story I found interesting that you've told before is, you say you never stopped working, and I heard you on an interview talk about how you worked on a plane. You had no idea, and you just sat next to somebody on a plane.
Yeah,
and tell that story a little bit.
I was working in LA, and then LA is all about paperwork. And when they get behind in paperwork, they freeze up. They want you gotta get a whole bunch of stuff done, or they having inspections coming, and they got people coming.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they trying.
I love inspections.
Yeah, they're trying to slow me up and get all the paperwork done before the inspection team come. So they send me home. They say, okay, well, and I'm good with that because, when I leave, I'm leaving with a pocket full of money. I mean a pocket full of money that I gotta get escorted to the airport, so I can get through security. So I'm on the plane and I'm sitting in first class, and I meet a guy, and he's just rattling off at the mouth about this and that. Nothing bad, just talking, and I'm really trying to, get some sleep. And that was when TWA was like banging. If you get first class in TWA, you like to get prime dinners. So it was going good. So when we got off the plane, I told him where to go, and like anybody else, he says, "Hey, here's my card, and call me if you ever come to LA." Okay, I don't worry about it. So I think I was home like. I wasn't good. I wasn't home for like maybe 7 days. I get a phone call. Oh, we need you back. I thought, okay, I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow. So I get back. And when usually I get to the office, I usually look at a book to see who might be in the book or who they might be after or whatever. I'm flipping pages. So what happens is I see this individual. I'm like, I know him. So everybody's laughing. They said, "Man, you don't know that guy." I know him, So you know how we used to have the little fag bags, So I had one of them. Yeah.
Fanny packs,
Fanny
bag
packs,
bag,
yeah.
However you want to go with that.
I used to have one of them too, because all the agents had one, so I had one too, So
A male clutch
Yeah,
is
they-
what they refer to it as.
So what happens now? So I'm sweating. I can't find it. I can't find the card. So I dump it all on the guy's desk. I'm looking. I said, "Oh shit, here it is." They said, "What?" They said, "How'd you meet this guy?" I said, "I met him on the plane." They said, "You met him on the plane?" I'm like, "Yeah, I met him on the plane." So they like, "Man, can you call him?" I said, "If I got his number, I can call him." So I made the phone call. I'm telling you, it was crazy because it was like about 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the evening, something like that. I made the phone call, and I said, and when I called him, he said, "Well, who's this?" I said, "This is Drew." He said, he was like, "Drew from where?" Like, "Motherfucker, what you want?" And then I told him, I said, "We was on the plane together." He said, "Oh," he like, "Man, what's going on? How you doing?" He said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm in LA." He said, "What you doing out here?" And then I told him, I said, "I can't talk on the phone about what I'm doing, but I need to see you." He said, "Man, come see me."
And then it begins.
and it was a great what they call OSDEF case.
Yeah.
It was an OSDEF case. It involved a
That
lot
means,
of people.
that means some money's in there. Too.
Yeah. The money was there.
You knew that too.
Yeah,
right?
I knew that
As soon
too.
as they said OSDF, I go, I got the money to pay.
Well, it's kind of crazy.
Worked the non-OSDF case.
Look here, as I go in my career, like I said, my experience, I learned from a lot of great guys. Jack knows them. Jack know who they are. They know who they are. If they listen to the broadcast, they know who they are. And these people here are solid. And they taught me. And when they taught me, I learned. And that's why when I go to different cities, and like, okay, for example, if I had to go to Chicago, I know Jack's tied up, so I'm not going to wait for a teletype to come from Jack. I'm going to go ahead and fly to where I got to go, and then when I get to where I'm going, you can go ahead and pay me for that plane ticket then.
Right.
I'm not going to wait 5 days.
And you knew that you've done it before, so you knew how the operation.
Oh, I know how it
worked.
goes.
I
Yeah,
might have to
yeah,
pay for
yeah.
it now, but I'll get my money
Oh, I
back.
get it back, because some guys are lazy.
Right.
a lot of guys are lazy.
Yeah, they don't want. This is serious business, but it is what it is, and this is part of the process that I learned through these guys.
Right, and like I said, and Jack said it earlier. I think your relationships were that you did feel part of the team, and you knew that these guys cared about you, and you knew that your safety would matter to them.
Facts.
Did I mean, as you went along, I'm sure that really helped.
No,
you.
it felt good. It felt good that these guys consider me not a CI.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
you can say whatever you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
You weren't a CI because a CI doesn't come in the ground floor and learn how to do this stuff.
No.
They're usually working off a case, need a quick hit of money.
Right.
Something like that where you took it literally as a professional.
Exactly. And I mean, it just got to a point where these guys here, you know how it is when you try to keep a secret, you might walk off. Mm-hmm. They didn't walk off from me because they knew I wasn't going back telling nobody no information about nothing, and it's a serious job, and you're dealing with people's life. It's to the point where you're not even trying to, you go out on a case, you go out on a deal, and you're not trying to kill the dope dealer.
No.
You don't want to kill him. I mean, he's a person. You see what I'm saying? You're not trying to kill him, but at the same time, we're not trying to get nobody killed on our side either.
No.
Right.
Nothing's personal.
No.
And
It's business.
that's what you felt like you were an agent.
Yeah,
and
and
if
when
agents could do that, agents would do that.
Exactly.
I mean, but they can't do it.
Oh, no, they can't do. Some guys, no. Because
Right,
I'm
that's what I'm
going to
saying.
give you a prime example. I'm going through the airport, and these guys, this is when they had the detail at the airport.
Yeah.
Now, these guys is dead wintertime, and they have Hawaiian shirts on.
Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who they were in the airport.
Nobody knew who they were. Here I come off the plane, and I see them watching me. But back in the day, Jack, you remember when they used to have the GTRs?
Oh yeah.
You go to the travel agency. Yeah. Well,
Wait a minute. What's a GTR? I don't even know.
Government travel.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, you had to get a.
You had to get
It
there.
was so stupid. It came in a book.
Exactly.
The supervisor had to pull the ticket out and give it to you.
right.
Kidding me.
Oh yeah.
And then on the thing it says drug enforcement, DEA.
So you give that to the.
You don't even know about
No.
it. This is great.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
And what happened was when I come off the plane, these guys are looking at me. So they wait. I call myself kind of fucking with them a little bit. So I said, okay.
You started enticing them?
Yeah, I got time. I ain't got time. My flight don't leave till the next flight. So I got time to play with them. So I go to the telephone because, it wasn't no cell phones.
No.
So I go to the little telephone and I'm talking to a guy. I act like I'm talking to somebody. I said, look at man, I made it. I got it. I got all of it. And I got the money too.
Oh, great.
So the guys are looking and they're like, yeah. So
We're onto something.
Yeah. So when I walk off, they stop me. So they says, hey, we're DEA. I'm like, okay. And they said, can we see your ticket? I'm like, okay. So I show them my ticket, and when you look at that ticket, it says
Government travel.
drug enforcement, DEA, like that. So now they're outdone. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And then I say to them, well, I know your boss. And he says, I know Mr. Sutton. And he says, you know Johnson? Yeah. So they call him. They said, just tell me, wait a minute. They call him. They say, hey, Mr. Son, we got somebody here that says that they know you, and tells them my name. He said, man, let that dude go, man.
So you just had time to mess with
Yeah,
him.
I just had
It's kind
time.
of like a practical.
Yeah, I didn't have nothing else
little
to do.
CI practical joke.
Yeah.
I love
So-
it. I love it.
Andrew, remember the time you were in Chicago and the ASAC there, the dopey ASAC?
Uh-oh.
boy.
Here we go.
You were in Rockford, and,
Oh, yeah.
and he pulls you aside.
Yeah.
This is a
what
classic.
happens is that
The guy quit like 2 days later.
what happened was he was like, Jack had sent me to Rockford, and I had Jack's number already in my phone. So he says to me, he comes down, he says, and usually, since I'm in the system, I can make a phone call, and if I wanted to know who Jack was, I could call and say, hey, what's up with this dude, Jack? And they're going to tell me.
Right.
So when this guy comes down, he says, oh, I come down here to see who you are, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. He said, I checked you out. He said, you're legit. I said, well, yeah, because I checked you out too. And he said, you checked me out. I said, yeah. I said, how'd you want me to tell you somebody who you know? And he says, yeah. So I tell him. I said, I know Mike Braun.
Which was another one of those guys in the room that one day.
Yeah.
That first day.
Yeah.
Heavy duty.
Chief of operations.
Yeah. Heavy duty guy.
Yeah.
No nonsense.
Yeah.
Nope.
Love
so,
that guy.
So I tell him, I said, well, I know. So before that, I called Mike. I said, Mike, I got to meet this guy. Tell me what the deal is. He said, what's it is? I told him who it was. He said, oh, that's why he's there, because of me. I said, okay, I'll talk to you later. So when he comes, he says, well, you got Jack's number. How you get Jack's number? I said, well, he gave it to me. I said, well, Mike Braun told me to tell you hello. He said, oh, you know Mike? I said, yeah, I've been knowing Mike 20-some odd years. He said, oh. He said,
1984.
Yeah, he said, you want my number too? yeah, okay, yeah, give me your number.
Welcome to Rockford.
Again, go ahead.
Go ahead. I wanted to ask you, while you're out here, did you ever, while you're out on the street, get accused of working for the DEA, and then, which leads into, were you ever really scared for your life at any point in time?
Well, I mean, the point is that for me to say that I'm not, I'd be lying. Yeah. I mean, I get goosebumps every time something goes on or whatever I'm involved in, because you don't know what a person knows. You don't know if he knows you. You don't know what he knows. And these guys here, they play for real, but some of them are decent guys. They just selling dope, doing what the hell they got to do. But yeah, I mean, it's always a point where you think, it's always that one guy, a drug dealer. It might be 10 guys together. One of them guys know that you're the police.
Yeah.
But he can't get the rest of them to believe it.
Right.
Wow.
And that's who you kind of eyeball, and you want to keep your eye, because the main player, he's good. It's that sideline guy that you have to worry about.
Andrew, when you were working with us, and we all remember little stories, then I want to when we end, I want to tell you something about some people I worked with that were just like you later in my career, and what it meant for us. But we also know that you worked for some other federal agencies. We know that you worked for the FBI, Customs, ATF. How did it feel when you were with them? Did you feel the same type of loyalty from the DEA agents or the FBI agents or whomever as you did with the DEA agents, or were you a fish out of water?
Well, what happens is that I never was the jackrabbit. I worked for Secret Service, DEA, FBI, postal inspectors, regular PDs. I didn't touch everybody, But my thing is always, if I'm going somewhere and whatever city that I'm at, we'll just use Chicago. If I go work for the FBI, they gotta go talk to Jack first.
Got it.
You got my okay. I will help you, but you gotta talk to Jack. And then once you talk to Jack, then Jack can tell me, yeah, okay, do what you do.
So you never left control of the DEA because
No.
you trusted them so much that you would have somebody mediating your activity between that other agency.
Yes, all the time. No matter, and that was the good thing about my situation, because you have other CIs, they're just all over the place, and then what happens is when something happens, then Jack don't know about it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
This way, everything that I do, Jack would know, or Brian would know, or Michelle would know, or Ogden would know. All these guys.
He just
know.
named off.
Listen, these
he
are
just
like
named off
fucking heavy
everybody.
hitters at DEA. If I would have met him in that room, I'd still be a fucking
Right.
agent. I never would have got promoted.
Well, it's crazy because what happens is, they have that inspection team come, right? And I had been to so many cities that if an inspection team is in St. Louis, by the time they get to Denver, I'm already at Denver. So, they always want to have somebody come in who can talk or who can kind of know what's going on. So we played a little game one day, and the inspectors came in, and they wanted to talk to me by themselves. So they talked to me, and when they came in, they said, "Oh, hell, Andrew, you got here before we did." I like, "Yeah," but the guys who I'm working for, they don't know that.
Yeah.
So they say, "Okay, we'll play a little game." I said, "Okay, let's play the game." So the agents come back in. They say, "Well, when you signed the 103, was it 2 people?" I said, "No, it was 1 guy." Matter of fact, we signed it at McDonald's.
Andrew
somewhere.
is now citing policy that most agents don't even know.
So the guys were like, "Oh hell, what the hell are you talking about?" And then they said, "Man, no, we know who Andrew is." Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fun.
we were just messing.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about this is, so I've been retired for a few years now. I still talk to Andrew when he's working, and I still want to know, and if I don't think it's right, I'm telling him,
Yeah.
because I care about him.
Yeah.
And some of the agencies do things differently than us, and some of those things that they do differently, they wouldn't tell Andrew that I know.
Right.
So there's times when I say, you know what, back off that, or
I
they'll
just
be
want to
fine.
mention something here. Is Andrew helped me and myself and Bo, who earlier he came into St. Louis during a very dry period, and he had enticed a couple guys, and one of them's a listener with Nate Williams and Jerry Brown, and whatever. It went well for us, not well for them. They ended up doing some time, but what I wanted, what I wanted, Andrew's only in St. Louis to visit. He is leaving, so don't think you're going to come to try to find him anywhere. Because I will say that Nate had a reputation. If he'd have known, and that's how good Andrew was. Because if Nate would have had any inclination, he would have never dealt with Andrew, which tells you how good he was at what he did. Because Nate had more street smarts and was meaner than a rattlesnake when needed, and could talk and did the whole game. And I just thought that was just a testament of how good you are when you're in the streets.
I appreciate it.
Well, when we end, I'm gonna tell the statistics when we're closing up. So talk about how good he was. I've got some numbers.
Do you have biggest payment?
Well,
You
that's
remember?
a great question.
250.
Biggest payment, $250.
Yeah.
And that is in cash?
$2.50.
Or do they give you cash or checks? I know we used to have to give cash.
It's been both ways.
Okay, they do give you checks.
Yeah, it's been both ways.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually the check would come from a seizure.
Yeah.
So
So yeah,
But-
just for those who know, that Jack, is that
Yeah.
sometimes informants are liable. They are available to gain. Like, let's say that he started a case and ends up in an OCDEF case, and at the very end, there's all kinds of stuff seized. They can put Andrew in or whoever in for a percentage of that seizure.
An award payment. Right?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, and it has a max to it, and kind of like what happened.
You found that
Tell us
out?
what the max
What's
is.
the max?
The max is
250.
250. Yeah.
at one time.
yeah, it can be changed now. But but what happens is that my job is great, but at the same time, I can't do it without the guys. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's great, and that's the good thing about it. But you have to have, also, you have to have a good CI, but you have to have good agents.
Yeah, and good leadership.
Yeah, you got to have
See,
it.
I'm having a tough time now after talking to you for a full day, and that back when we did that case, I'm going to talk to you for 5 minutes total,
Right.
because you were talking to Bo and other people. But now talking to you, I have a tough time saying that you were I guess the correct terminology that everybody uses is confidential informant. But you were more of a you know, almost like an employee.
Yeah.
And that's not an employee.
No,
An
he's a-
employee does not get that name.
He's a team member.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's every bit as valuable as the agents that he worked
Absolutely.
with.
You know, I know the word super snitch has been used.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's
Yeah,
two,
that makes me sick.
I think there's two separate
But,
types.
but hey, if that title, if that's what you want to call it, and Andrew's got some numbers that we're going to read, you can call him whatever you want.
That's right.
Because he was a very successful. It's just like being a good football player, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have haters out there because you're so good.
And when you get that check for $250, things.
You can call me whatever you
that's
want.
the idea.
Yeah,
That's success.
And you know what happens is that people, you know, I know people look at things a different way, and if you look at it the right way, just look at it the right way. So if you're a major dope dealer, say you're a major dope dealer, a major dope dealer, and you have a child, is your child going to have access to use your dope?
yeah.
All right.
I mean, yeah.
You were just like us. We did not. We fought the dope game.
Yeah.
We fought it. That's what you did.
Right.
Absolutely.
You fought the dope game.
Yeah.
You weren't
As a
working
non-
off cases.
Yeah.
Right, as a non-defendant.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And,
And
then
start with
and then
doing
people say, entrapment. What's the entrapment? I mean, you're doing it or you're not doing it.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
You know,
Telling you,
I'm
you
not
do.
fooling you. If you're a priest,
Right.
I'm not going to the priest saying, "Hey, look here. Are you selling dope?" I mean, you see what I'm saying? If you're doing it.
I think that's a really, you can cloak whatever you want to cloak, dope dealer. These are bad people
Yeah.
Exactly.
in our society that cause tremendous wreckage in communities and families and death, and they're murderers.
Right.
And that's what we have to say, because that's what they are. And guys like Andrew helped us take those people and put them where they belong.
Absolutely.
And I think, to me, that's so important. And I think that's the reason we all did what we did.
Yeah, and just for imagine like Rick Ross. Okay.
Isn't that a hair design too? Some sort of weird haircut.
Well,
It's a joke.
the thing about it is that
Freeway.
he's talking about what he's doing, but he's not talking about what he was doing.
Yeah.
See,
Right.
he was actually a dope dealer, giving people the dope. So, but but the people in the real world think he's a great person. I mean, where's the greatness at?
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
insane.
The greatness is dealing dope. But and again, sometimes that gets glamorized. It's like the
Well,
mob
yeah.
life and
Whatever makes you
there's
happy.
There's no police story that's interesting on the movie scene unless you got a dirty cop in it.
Right.
They glamorize a lot of nasty stuff.
Yeah, and and I
Nice.
talk to kids. I tell them, it's a ticket that comes with this game here. Now, it's an end game, and if you can go from here to here, you might have a chance. But if you go from here to here, it's a baseball game.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember the one of the cases we did with Q, Quentin Thompson. He tried to quit. He legitimately tried to quit. Mm-hmm. But then that money it runs out, and you're not used to making. I mean, when you get accustomed to making a certain amount of money,
Yeah.
you can try to step away all you want. You're gonna rifle through some money.
I mean, I think we can all agree there's three outcomes. Number one, you meet guys like us,
Yeah.
and you go to jail. You lose everything. The other outcome is you're dead.
Yeah.
Right.
But the biggest outcome is how do you affect your family and your community?
Right.
None of those are good.
Exactly.
No, I'm with you. You want to close it up with some
Yeah,
stats?
throw some stats Andrew's way, and then
Now let me tell you about these stats. Now, you have these stats.
They don't include the fourth quarter.
Well, really, because see, you gotta understand, this is DEA stuff, but we're not talking about.
FBI and the rest.
No, these are just basic stats.
Yeah.
They're just to give the audience a little idea. I can't name one agent. I'm sure you can't, or you can't either. That's even come close to anything.
Oh,
like
not this. No.
So
Maybe me, but
about,
I'm close.
About Andrew, about 16, 17 years active. 10 years less than most agents. Roughly 450 to 500 bad guys. About 1.5 tons of cocaine. About 8 low end to 25 million in assets. And I wouldn't answer anything on this one. Roughly $4 million paid out.
That you made.
Let's talk about the weather, Andrew.
Yeah. But I think those numbers are huge and real. And how I would end this on my end or with my questions is I worked with you very little when I was a young guy. It was very interesting because you talk about those big heavy hitters. And when you got a call from a heavy hitter and said, hey, Andrew's got something, I want you to run with it. You worked with Andrew and knew that Andrew had direct access to Jack Riley and Michele Leonhart, and you did your best for him. So hopefully most of the agents we worked with did well. And then my last comment is I got to work with and I call them spies. You know, non-defendants are spies. They're people that are dedicated to trying to do something right for the world and society. I mean, that's why they do
Right.
it. Now, we all fall victim to the lure of the money and playing a role and all that kind of crazy stuff. We all did too.
He can be 006 because of DEA 6. Because you had to write a DEA 6 on everything he did.
Oh,
And
my
I got to
We'll
work
make him
with
006.
I got to work with a few guys like you, Andrew, on this project called Project Cassandra all over the world, and they did it for the same reasons. And they're quality people, and I think DEA does a really bad job not separating those out in that title. Because if you're a defendant, they call you a snitch, right? If you're a non-defendant,
Right.
you're part of the team.
Well, and somebody will say, well, the agents only made, over a 20-year period. You make some decent money, $2 million, I guess. Let's just say Andrew made double that. Well, Andrew also had double the danger,
Oh yeah,
double the, because you were out there. I mean, and you were working. You did take it it was an 8-hour job.
Yes.
How did you work every day? No, that's like
Yeah.
most agents.
Right.
That's a dig at you guys.
I'm retired.
That's why they call it Federal Friday.
Yeah, that's right. That's why.
Federal Friday is a good day.
Explained in a note.
Right. But Andrew, we really want to thank you for coming by.
It's good to see you.
We we won't. What's your address, by the way? Now, where do you live?
I don't know.
No, he's fluid. He's very fluid.
Right. But it's not in St. Louis. Just so anybody
no.
that's out there that thinks they're going to come down to Columbus and see Andrew again. I think you leave town tomorrow, correct?
Right. Be gone.
So-
but just to let you guys know, and let the other agents or anybody that's out there, it's about looking after each other.
Absolutely.
And they have truly, like I said, I can't co-sign for other CIs. I can co-sign for myself, and what the guys that I know have done, I can co-sign for them all day. And my thing is, I owe to myself, and I owe to the guys who I work for, because there's not one guy out there right now who I couldn't call and say whatever I want to say, and I'm always going to get a result, not a bad result. And these guys here, some guys are retired, and that's kind of like the issue that I'm having now. A lot of my guys retired. So, but the thing about it, they got strong names,
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'd say Jack Riley's a pretty strong name.
Oh yeah, Jack.
Mike
Yeah,
Braun,
Jack.
Michele
Jack.
Leonhart.
Mike Braun.
Start rattling those names off. I think any DEA agent is going to say, "Oh, the guy knows."
Oh, I
some
remember
people.
those guys.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good. It's good. I mean, I don't think.
So you're retired or semi-retired?
Semi.
Okay. All right. All right. Just throw that out there.
Semi.
All right.
Semi.
All right.
Once again, that wraps up our Federal Friday. We'll be back next week, and then make sure you go back and tune in to the our movie Cop Draft, and we're going to talk about a lot of other things. And also this Thursday, 7 p.m. live on YouTube and Facebook is going to be our visit with Nathan Speece.
Oh, that's going to be
Really,
good.
and you can you can chime in with your comments and questions for Nathan as he goes through his rehabilitation. So that is going to be a very special show for us. Hope you can tune into that. And Jack, you got any closing statements?
No, I just want to say thank you to Andrew for all you've done for all the years, and it has been a great relationship between you and I and the agents and the agency, and touche, baby.
Yeah,
Thank you.
touche.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
You got
We're out, boys. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks. Joe, thanks,
Thank you, brother.
All right, appreciate it.